An alchemist. An alchemist in the old days was a scientist, and they used to take lead and try and turn it into gold. And so my goal is I take heavy lead, mindset, attitude, negativity, to turn it into freedom, love, abundance, peace, and joy. Are you guys okay if I take my jacket off? Yeah. It's a little warm. I'll stop with the jacket, I promise. Alright, so we have about an hour together. I've got a really lovely book here, Leading Like Madiba, Leadership Lessons from Nelson Mandela. Who would like it?
Yeah.
Okay, all of us.
My hand is...
It's a very, very great, inspirational Secrets of Leadership by Mandela. So who wants it?
I can come and call it.
Thank you. Please give a round of applause. So here's my question. Why didn't you get out of your chair and come get it? What's happening in your head that you stay seated? What has got you so scared and fearful that you don't step up and come and take action? Because a leader, at the end of the day, you might have the title, you might have the role, but unless you get action to happen, who cares what your title and role is? So maybe you're frustrated, maybe you're uncertain, maybe you're not sure, maybe you're under pressure. But what is it that's got your mindset, that's got you to be stalled or stuck? See, my benefit is, as a transformational speaker, my goal is to change how you think. Because if I can change how you think, I can change how you feel. Who would love to be happier? Let's see, show of hands. Who would like to be happier? Yay, say yay. Yay. Who would like to be healthier? Yay. Who would like to be wealthier? Yay. So here's my question. Why are you not? Who do you want to blame because you're over here? Who do you want to blame because you're like frustrated, twitchy, bitchy, unhappy, low resources, low love, low care, low trust, low fun? Whose fault is it that you have those emotions? And my whole goal is about rethinking leadership. So I've spent my life, I'm an old body. You can see I'm an old body. I've spent my life researching the most powerful stuff in the world. And I've designed a system called Swift Success. My book's coming out in February. I'll give you guys a copy happily. If you send me an email, I'll give you a digital copy. But my goal today is to distill into 1 hour the wisdom that's taken me probably 40 years. Are you good for that? Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Imagine, it's a cold winter's day. We're over in Portugal. It's raining, it's not a nice day, but we're on holiday and we come across these workers. And we go to the first guy and we say, tell me, sir, what are you doing? And he's busy chipping away at the stones. And he's muttering and mumbling and the rain's running down. We say, sir, what are you doing? He says, can't you see? I'm building this building. Sorry. And you go a little further and you find another builder there. And he's in the same thing, he's cutting the stones. And he says, so what are you doing? He says, can't you see? I'm building this building thing. And you go a little further and you come across the guy. The rain is running down, but he's whistling away and he's chiseling away. And his pile of bricks and stones is 3 times bigger than the other people. You say to him, so what are you doing? And he says, can't you see I'm building this beautiful cathedral for my people? Which are you? The witchy, bitchy, whiny, you wake up and say, good morning, God, or good God, it's morning. How do you wake up in the morning? How do you speak to yourself? What goes through this head? Do you love to come to work because it's exciting opportunity? Or are you in a JOB? You know what JOB is, hey? Just over broke. So as a leader in business, these are your typical issues that you have. And I'm here to tell you it's not all your fault. But I'm here to tell you it's at least 50 to 60% your fault. At least 50 to 60% of results in an organization is based on leadership effectiveness. So when you go home tonight, look in the mirror and you say, you can do better. The theme is meant to be about efficiency and ethics. Because you know, when there's pressure, our ethics change. And I was doing some research about values. People talk about values-based leadership. Now, are we using values-based leadership for our behavior? Everybody uses values-based leadership. Just some of those values aren't great values. And if you go to the gents' toilets, ladies, you won't know this, but when you go to the gents' toilets, the seats, some pig's been there before and peed on the seats. What kind of value do you think they live by?
Pig's value.
You know, what kind of ethics do they have? And so, it's not what you say, it's how you walk the talk. It's not what you put out on a piece of paper, it's what you hold your people accountable to do. If you know that something's happening, and you don't talk about it, people watch and say, oh, okay, so that's how it gets done. As the leader goes, so the pack follows. We all have some kind of morals and ethics and values, but the question is, who taught you those values? I had a driver, my car, the turbo broke on the way here this morning, and I had a driver bring me here, but the lady at Nissan, she was a forensic, she's got a lie detector system. And I'm a student, I like to learn. And I said to her, well, are you busy? She says, I've never been busier in my life. Because people all over the place is breaking integrity, there's breaking ethics. Have a guess how many reports a month they get? Between 250 to 350 reports a month of some kind of breaking ethics. Where are those people's morals? Where are their ethics? We listen, we see on the radio, we see on TV. What kind of moral fiber do we have? And so if you're going to be a leader of any value, you're going to have to realign integrity, behavior, your thinking, your mindset. Think of a leader that you think is amazing. What's the number one quality that comes to you? What is the number one quality in your head? Call it out. Somebody call it out. Best leader that you can think of. Caring, inspiration, ethical, empathy. Do you want to follow what I call a greeder? You know, and it's only about the money, just money. Nothing else matters, just the money, money, money. The challenge that we have is on every level of our society, we have a break in ethics and we have a break in moral character. The kids are cheating at school. You know, we've got cheating on every level. If you look at the trust factors in politicians, in governments, in business, they are the lowest we've had for a long, long time. And so you've got to decide which side of the line you're going to be. Are you going to be a leader with integrity that holds the fire in spite of the storm? Or you're going to be a convenient person where their values will go with the wind depending upon the situation and circumstances? Because if you're going to be superior, if you are going to be world class, there's a thing called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Anybody heard of Dunning-Kruger? Dunning-Kruger is where a leader thinks they are wonderful, but in fact they are pathetic. Now we've got this overinflated self-opinion of how good I am, but when they take a check with reality, it's like, not close. This is research done with some companies around service, and what was interesting, I was talking to your head leader here. First was safety, second was service. I've been shopping once before, and you know these mirrors, when you stand in front of the mirror, they make you look nice and slim. You know, it's like, wow, check me, I'm cool. So the mirror makes you look good, but is it telling the truth? It's being deceptive. And that's the problem, is we deceive ourselves. You might think you're doing a great job. The perception is maybe not as good as it could be. So if you're going to become a really good leader, it's about constant reassessment, reevaluation, getting feedback, about inspiring yourself. and then inspiring others and being a role model and an example. Do you know the difference between motivation and inspiration? Motivation is like a stick. The boss motivates you to get you to take action. Inspiration is inspirari, the fire from within. Imagine if you could get your team to be inspired. If you were an inspiring leader, that people would travel the world to come and see you do what you do. What kind of shift would have to happen in your head, in your mind, in your thinking for that to happen? Because if you're going to be a leader, it's going to be about, number one, managing mindsets. Number two, the kind of actions that happen on your watch. So think about it. What is the most important thing in your organization that influences ethical behavior? Because if you've hired right, this isn't a problem. If you've hired wrong, this could be a very big problem. And what is it that influences efficiency? I remember hearing two stories. One of when Madiba came out of, was released, they built him a Mercedes down in East London. It was built in about 30% less time. I don't know the exact numbers, but it was about 30% less time with fewer defects, faster, better, quicker, cleaner than any car ever built there. Why? What made the difference? Yes?
People were inspired.
Absolutely. So my challenge to you is, how do you become inspiring? Because you're going to have storms, what I call storm dancers. There will always be challenges. There will always be upsets. There will always be constraints. But it's the resilient mindset that says, okay, I have a challenge. And you'll notice at the very beginning, it wasn't in difficult problems. We know now from research, and that's why all my talks are about rethink. Rethink success, rethink leadership, rethink happiness. Who thinks stress is bad? Who's heard stress is bad for you? Eh? No, we've got stress management workshops, and I used to sell the songs. 95% of all illness is stress-induced. But we've got new research that says maybe stress is good for you if you believe it. Belief creates reality. So what kind of belief do you have? In the research and the work that I do, we talk about high-performance organizations. We've got a scientifically validated model that if you address these 5 areas, you can become a high-performance organization. All 5 must be addressed. So my model is like a racing car. You know when you drive your car and the wheels got to wobble? You can only go a certain speed before the wobble starts shaking your steering wheel like crazy. So you need these 5 factors to be an important part of your team, important part of your leadership mindset. Continuous improvement. I had a radio station called Canny. Constant and never-ending improvement. If we are going to be innovative and effective and thrive, we have to become innovative. I heard the story of a guy, I think it might have been South Africa, but he's saving about, I don't know, 2.5 million rand a year in coal by using the pips from the peaches back into the coal-fired furnaces. So what kind of innovation process could you guys create to create continuous improvement in getting everybody's brains to participate and contribute? And you can bring some amazing stuff. You know, we were talking, it takes a while for stuff to happen. How do you improve performance? How do you get action to happen? My book, it's taken me 35 years. 35 years ago I decided. I started writing 6 months ago. Only 6 months ago, but I took the decision then. How do you bring more action orientation into your workplace? Bless you. The third leg is leadership and management. Leadership quality, the quality of leaders, the quality of managers. Do you bring inspiration? Do you bring fun? Do you bring upliftment? What kind of workplace culture do you create? Are you a good leader? I did some work, and I do quite a lot of government work, and there's a place where there are advocates. Now, do you know advocates? They're head animals, hey? They're clever, they've studied. But now they've got all these advocates, and they've got a guy that's their manager that doesn't have a clue, not a cooking clue. What do you think is going to happen in that space? Is there going to be respect? Is there going to be trust? Number one reason, he doesn't have competence in being a manager. He doesn't have competence in the skill set that is required. But he's put into that position for whatever the pressures are of the situation. If you're going to be a leader, it needs to be constant learning. I read something either on my phone, on my pad. If you go to my house right now, next to every loo, there's a book. When I'm driving this morning, I study more now than I have in my entire life at school. Because learning, do you know on your phone, on my little, there's a little phone, anybody, my gardener, has got as much access to information as anybody on the planet. It's no longer access to information, it's application of information. Right now, you can pick up your Google and you can say, show me what the 5 high performance factors are. You don't need me. You can get that free. But it's the execution, the application, the coaching, getting you to stay focused. And that's what a leader does. When I was doing research about strength, I found a story about a leader. They wanted to see how many men it took to equal the strength of an elephant. So what do you think, how many people can tug a war with an elephant? How many? Yes, you got strong men in your life. It was about 106. So they took Neddy the elephant and they put a harness on and they got 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 106 men eventually were able to hold Neddy. Sure. And then one guy stood up and said, I think I can do better. And he achieved the same result with 56 people as it took 106 people. Why? What did he do? Because A, he inspired them, B, he got them to work together. Teamwork. And this is something that you're going to have to do, and I want to slap you a shot. Because I was talking to somebody and they said, but you know, we have a problem because if I've got a guy from this tribe as the general manager, and this is the manager from another tribe and another culture, and this one, they won't work together. Can I tell you what life is about? Why are you alive? What's the dance? I mean, the flowers are growing, we're alive. What's your life about? Imagine you died today. What's your life been about? Because when you go down the tunnel of life, you're going to be asked 2 questions. Number one, how much love did you bring? Not how much love your neighbor did you bring, how much love for other people, other race, other sex, other culture. Or are you a divisive person? Are you a builder or you're a breaker? Do you break relationships? Do you break integrity? Do you break trust? Do you break other people down? Or are you a builder? Because you know, any fool can break somebody down. Take someone special to be a builder. Who would like to agree to commit to being a builder? It's a big stretch. But no matter what happens, you say, I'm a builder. Hold me accountable. Who would be interested in doing that kind of thing? Hello, anybody home? So look at the person on your left, shake their hand and say, I commit to being a builder. Look at the person on your right, I commit to being a builder. I have a book on develop your leadership skills. Who would like a book? There we go. Round of applause. You see, if you snooze, you lose. You got to be awake. Life doesn't guarantee anything. I want to take you through. Think about this. In all of my research, in my work that I did in ESCOM and other organizations, what is your trust level like? Because that is the foundation of a leader. Are you trustworthy? Do you have integrity? If you make a promise, do you keep your promise? Even if you make a little promise, do you keep your promise? See, mindset, it's not about what you are when you're in front of people. It's about what you are when no one's watching. And one thing I've come to learn, you might think that there are secrets. There's one secret keeper that never forgets. And if you've done something, I promise you there's a part of your brain that runs that movie and it will remind you. There are stories of people, they went to a restaurant or they went to a hotel and they stole the gown or the silver set. 20 years later, they go back and apologize. Because there's this little thing. You know what you did, you know what you did, you know what you did, you know what you did. So decide to be a person that is trustworthy. That is worthy of trust. Be the role model. Because it doesn't matter what skills you got, doesn't matter what mindset you got, doesn't matter what kind of vision, mission, values. If you cannot build trust as a leader, and you cannot be trustworthy, it's not going to hold it together. I love this guy because he was very different to me. He will take a few things. And he reminds me of, this is what culture is. There's a whole new big shift around engagement and culture and happiness at work. And it got me thinking, because I go into these organizations and you need a business culture for that business. But what I'm noticing is the dominant culture is the home culture of the biggest tribe. Now I'm a hockey player. If I come onto a hockey field playing with rugby rules, is there going to be a problem? Absolutely. So the number one thing as a leader that you've got to do is you've got to decide what is the culture we need if we are going to be a high-performance team or organization. What does this culture look like? The challenge that you have is culture is it's close to invisible. It's like water. You know, fish don't know they're in water. They're swimming around. But if you start to become aware and conscious, and that's what I want to do is wake you up, have a look at the culture around you. What is your organizational culture? Is it a high integrity, high performance, high action, good teamwork? Or is it me, protect me, us, my, our little tribe? This whole thing of tribes is so important because we now know that we have tribes in organizations, not necessarily from the same single culture, but it's a mindset of how you see the world as to what kind of tribe you're bringing to the space. And so this is some software that we use for social network analysis. You might have an organizational structure, but there are relationships beyond that structure that have more power than your organizational structure. And if you can identify who the social leaders are, not the ones who've got a title that maybe don't have authority or respect or credibility, but who are the people in the organization that have that respect, they have that trust, they have that credibility, they walk their talk. Because if you can start to discover them, you can start to leverage that, start to use that, start to grow those kind of people. So if you have a look, you start to see M3's got influence, P2's got influence, P45. And so you start to see the kind of influence that people have. We know from Science of Happiness at Work that happiness and anger and frustration or ethical breakdowns go up to 3 levels away. 3 levels. Birds of a feather flock together. So if you understand that, the invisible dynamic, you can start to change things. So if you're going to be a leader that really takes action, you need to be the one that sets that tone. That says, this is how we dance. This is acceptable, this is not acceptable. Who's got children? Ladies? Gents? Do children test you? They push the line. I've got good news and bad news. In your organization, many of you behave like children. And you push the line. If you're going to be a leader, you need to be explicit and clear and be the role model that walks the talk. I had a boss that used to say, here's the rules, but he did something else. If you have a boss that's having an affair, he's married but he's having an affair, what's your sense of trust, respect, credibility? Think about this. Imagine we're driving in a car and I have an accident. It's my fault. And you're in the car with me. What are you going to tell the police? But I'm going to say to you, listen, just tell them it was something else, not me, not me. But now we're friends. We're friends for 10 years. What are you going to tell the police? Are you going to support me and lie and be deceptive? Or are you going to have integrity?
It's a difficult
You see,
I'll tell the truth, they'll arrest me.
they'll arrest you. But you see, a leader tells the truth no matter what the cost. A greeter is convenient based on how safe am I and what's the cost. A true leader steps up and says, this is wrong, not acceptable. We do make mistakes. It's not the fact that you make a mistake. It's what you do to come and fix it up and say, sorry, what do you want me to do to fix it? But you don't try and hide it. The moment you start to hide stuff, you become deceptive. And when you become deceptive, ethics goes out of the window. You can't hold others accountable. Rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 10 for each of these. Are you really trustworthy? No, we're not going to ask you. But I want you to look in the mirror, the honest mirror. Are you truly trustworthy? Are you honest? I know when I was younger, if a person gave me change and they gave me wrong change, I used to think, hey, I scored 20 cents or I scored 50 cents. As I've got a little bit wiser, I don't do that anymore. Because when you go down a tunnel of light when you die, the second question I ask you is, how much wisdom have you gained? How much wisdom are you gaining in this dance called life? It's not about the knowledge and the information, it's the wisdom, applying it. Now, knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. You all knew that, eh? I'm assuming you all knew that tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing that you don't put it in the fruit salad. Rate your stuff on these, and you're going to find that the number one thing here is integrity and fairness are very, very big things as being a role model. Because if you don't have those, you will infect and affect and destroy performance. These are the things that affect ethics. But I want you to understand the bottom. Circumstances. If you've got a mother that's got no food, no clothing, and her children are sick, there's pressure to change existing values and beliefs and behaviors. Know your staff, know their space, know their state. Your leadership styles and the organizational culture. We did some research in the post office, and the question was, what is the maximum amount of money that a person can steal without there being a consequence? I mean, for me, already the logic is that you can steal is an acceptable thing, is not right, but that's me. Have a guess what the number was. What was the limit that you can steal, take something that's not yours before you should be punished? What amount of rands? 35,000 rand. Nice culture. Okay? I mean, I find that horrendous. I don't use the post. I use email now. If you're going to be a leader, like that man with the elephant, you've got to get the best out of people. Here's the challenge. If I start pointing fingers and problem solving and saying, what's the problem in your department? Why is it bad like this? What is her natural reaction going to be? Defend. What happens to the brain? Now the ego says, I've got to protect myself. It gets into panic. We start to get aggressive. If you understand how the brain works, who thinks they make decisions in their life? Who thinks you make conscious decisions in your life? Okay. You don't. Your unconscious brain decides for you up to 7 seconds before you consciously know you're going to choose. Up to 7 seconds, your unconscious brain decides already. They took a guy, put him in an MRI, and they said, choose A or B. And the moment you choose, press the button. Up to 7 seconds before he chose, they could tell you in his brain there was a part that chose A and there's a part that chose B. They could predict with 100% accuracy how he was going to choose. You think you're in charge of you, your unconscious is in charge of you. We use emotions to validate our beliefs and our behaviors. So understand, when you come to somebody and you do something, the brain reacts automatically. And it goes into panic, it goes into fear, it goes into defense. And so there's a model from David Roth called SCARF. Because if you understand how the brain works, you can then manage the person a whole lot better. 80% of the brain's work each day is about danger. Beware, watch out, be careful. The brain's #1 filter feature is protect, defend, make sure I'm safe. A small part is looking for pleasure. So the brain's #1 thing is move away from threat. So when you speak to somebody, be careful about your performance evaluations, because #1, they typically are threat-based. You know, if you don't do this, you're going to lose your income, your bonus, and those kind of things. So the very first one is status. If I've got the corner office and you move me from my corner office, my brain, my amygdala goes into fear, into panic. And now my emotional state gets changed. My emotional intelligence gets challenged, and I become like an animal. I go into defend, protect, aggression. If you take away certainty, and this is what part of the life is that you have, we're in a world of constant change. If you think you've had big change now, more coming soon, I promise you. So take away the frame of problem and put a frame of a challenge. Hey, give me a challenge. I'll find a way to solve that challenge. Autonomy. We need some kind of freedom to make decisions, to make choices. If somebody's always over your shoulder, what are you doing? What are you doing? Is that right? Is it wrong? It's like eventually it's like, hey, away, give me some space. But you must inspect what you expect. Have boundaries, have parameters. Don't let the fox in the coop and give them a month to destroy everything. Obviously, they must have competence. Relatedness. Leadership is about relationships and results. How do you connect? Do you know their names? Do you know their issues? People want to belong. Second level of Maslow's hierarchy is belonging. It is human nature to want to belong. And the final one is fairness. Are you being fair? We hear stories of the boss's favorites. They get more money, they get more perks. If you want to destroy your culture and energy, play favorites. Make sure, and remember, it's not about reality, it's perception.
Yeah.
Perception is everything. Belief creates reality. We can all watch the same thing happen. There'll be 120 different perspectives. Get to understand that other person's perspective. Walk a mile in their shoes. If you're going to be leading in tough times, and I think we are going for tough times in our country. I think on many levels we are going to have tough times. You need to be the one that steps up and brings the meaning. What is our main goal? What is our main vision? What is the impact, value, and benefit that we're bringing? Who relies on us? We were talking earlier. Electricity, when you've got it, is like wallpaper. It's there, what we do. You know, it's not an important thing. But I can promise you, the moment my electricity goes off, I'm in deep trouble. My fiancée does accounting over the internet. Her business stops dead. We were down for 8 hours the other day. It's like oxygen. Everybody take one big breath, take a big breath, and hold it. Hold it, don't breathe. Put up your hand, and when you breathe, put down your hand. Everybody put up your hand, and when you breathe, put down your hand. So we know who's holding their breath the longest. So don't breathe, don't breathe. What's going through your head when my electricity's off? That's what I'm thinking. I need. What's in your head? What's happening in your body? It's like, I need. You can put your head down. I don't have an ambulance here for you. And I know some of you also push. What you deliver goes beyond your understanding of the value that you bring. You don't understand that. And it's only when I don't have it that I'm suddenly aware of it. And the longer I don't have it, the more panic I get. So focus, what is the core purpose and meaning? Build a team. I do team building and team dynamics and leadership. Forget what culture you're from. Because here's the third thing. When you go down that tunnel of life, the third thing they're going to say to you is, are you now ready to receive back what you perpetrated on others? Finish the sentence. What goes around comes around. Whatever you do, you will get back tenfold.
Receive tenfold.
You will get tenfold. Involve everybody in the process. Get people from the gardener to the greatest people involved. I'll teach you a process called appreciative inquiry if there's time, but get everybody involved. You can't come along and say, here's our values, right, now go and live them. There's no ownership, there's no belonging, there's no participation. Be the one that is so inspiring that people want to come work with you. People join a company for its vision, mission, values, destiny. They leave the immediate manager because they're a pig. Now listen, here, science shows the higher up the ladder you go, the less you care for humans. If you're in numbers, sorry accountants, the less you care for humans. Because the neural circuitry that you use for numbers and logic is different to the neural circuitry you use for human compassion. The higher up the ladder you go, the less you feel. Have a look on the internet, Stanford prison experiment. You'll be shocked what they did in 3 days, how people treated their own friends. The psychologist's girlfriend came along and said, what on earth are you doing? He even got hooked up in the process. Create stories that inspire people. Create stories that show the values of integrity, of persistence, of determination, of innovation, and share those stories. I have some cards that I wanted to give you, but I think let's do it right now. Please turn to the person on your left and give them some kind of positive compliment of some kind. And turn to the person on your right and give them some kind of positive compliment, recognition for something specific. Turn to your left, give them a positive compliment. Turn to your right, give them a positive compliment. Give him a round of applause. Thank you. You got to move, you got to move.
Safety hazard.
Zero harm. So what does it feel like to get recognition? How does that feel? What does it cost you to do that? Nothing out of the pocket, eh? When last did you do that to your people? When last did they do it for you?
Never.
Well, maybe you're not inspiring enough.
But another thing this morning, they were also complimented.
These are the 6 human needs that everybody craves across the planet. These are the core 6 human needs. You know, people come to work to do a job so they can get money, so they can get a life. Unless you're a smart leader and they get their meaning and their destiny out of the work that you're doing. But when you're dealing with people, think about these needs. How do I create certainty? In a storm and chaos, how do I create that certainty for them? There's never going to be 100% certainty other than when you're in the coffin. But how do you find certainty in a space where there is chaos? What can you be certain? Maybe that you're inspiring, that you're always positive, that your integrity is good. Variety. Obviously this doesn't apply to marriages, but create some variety, otherwise it's boring. But think about this. When I fly to Cape Town, I go to the Oa Tambo, there's a Wimpy there. Guys, if you know the Wimpy, there's a loo next to the Wimpy. The other day I was going to Cape Town, and before I get on the plane, I went to do my housekeeping, and as I walk in, there's this black dude who says, "Good morning, welcome to my office, sir." Like, what? I mean, this is a toilet. Like I'm checking, I'm in the wrong place. But here I was, in this dirty, smelly toilet, and this young man is saying, "Welcome to my office." And he got me to think. I was about to go to the cubicle, and he said, "Please wait." And he went in and he fixed the paper, and he wiped the seat, and he said, "Enjoy your stay." And so I did my paperwork, but he got me thinking, how does a young man, because the salary's not big, hey?
Yeah.
The tips might be okay, but he gets the tips because of his mindset, because of his attitude, because of the experience he gives the people. He got me to think about my own attitude. Because if he can have that kind of attitude in a dirty, stinky, smelly, ugly place, what about you? What's going to happen for you to wake up and take action and take control of this brain? Your brain is not you. Your brain is a computer. It is a biological computer, and it will give you BS if you let it. You know, like when kids do something, they can't give you some BS excuse. Your brain will do the same. You need to step back and take control of it. Significance and love and connection are important parts of us. How do you give your staff significance? The lady at the back there saying, me, book me. She wants significance. We all want significance. When I was a little boy, I could hang upside down and say, hey Dad, look at me. How do you do it today as an adult? We drive big cars, we have big wallets, we have big houses, we have big guns, we have, we find some way to get significant. Love and connection. Do you love to come to work? Do you love the people at work? Do you love the work that you do? But you see, it depends. Okay, I wasn't going to share this with you, but I will. Who's been angry recently? Anybody been angry recently? Okay. Who made you? Take a piece of paper, write down on that piece of paper, who made you angry? Quickly. Write down on the piece of paper, who made you angry? Or who made you frustrated?
I don't get angry.
Okay, now look at this. Some people are awake, some people are still victims. If you wrote somebody else's name, go take your hand here like this. If you wrote somebody else's name on a piece of paper, take your hand like this and go. Because you are lying. You are being deceptive, manipulative, BSing. Because what is the truth? Who truly makes you angry?
Yourself.
Thank you. Yourself. Because if someone else makes you angry, who's in charge of you?
That's someone else.
No, but if someone else makes you angry, who's in charge of you? Them.
Them.
But the reality is, you make yourself angry. That's the truth. So the moment you're pointing fingers, you're being manipulative and you're BSing. The truth is, you make yourself angry at their behavior, at your expectation. And the flip side of the coin is, who makes you happy?
Yourself.
But then why did you say in the beginning you want to be happier? Why don't you just choose it? Wake up, bliksem, and choose to be happier. Because you're all earning more than enough money to be happy.
Yes.
Happiness is controlled by money to about 400,000 Rand a year. Happiness is controlled by money up to about 400,000 Rand a year. 350 to 400,000.
They're all about that.
That's what I'm saying to you. These are bliksem, rubbish people. Because another zero on your salary is not going to make you feel happier. You're going to be twitchier, bitchier, and whingier in a lacquer car.
Yeah.
And a lacquer suit. Choose, people. Wake up. Be smart. Choose. Because here's the problem. And this is a very serious part of my conversation. This is South African values done by Barrett. Left, these are the values of the individuals. These are the values they're getting from the government and the environment. These are the values that they want. The gap between what you want and what you are getting is called entropy. There's a gap, there's a tension. Understand? This is what people want, this is what they are getting. Do you think you'd be pissed off? Of course. If you're a leader, the bigger that gap, the bigger your problem. Read the bottom line of this document. This is now your scale of entropy, the scale of gap. This is that tension. It's like this elastic band. You know, I used to play with elastic bands, and you get those really thick ones, and you pull it, and you pull it, and you pull it, and you go ding, 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 ding. Now it stopped because it hurt otherwise.
Okay.
How do I go back here? Look at the entropy. This was done in 2011. 62% entropy, 51% and above is very dangerous. It's where the mindset says enough is enough is enough. You need to be aware of the values that you are speaking, the values you are living, and the values that your people want. Wake up. Become conscious. What are the values that you talk about? Are your values that you talk aligned with how you walk the talk? Now, we've all got a mask, a social mask. We're never going to go to somebody and say, hey, you're not walking your talk. But maybe we should, out of love, be a builder and say, I noticed that you're not walking that talk like you promised. Can I wake you up or can I help you? But be a builder with love and wake people up. Because if you leave them, they become an example. 6% of a system controls a system. In biology, 6% of a system controls the system. Character, state, mindset, attitude. If you've got a team of, 10 people, one person can destroy that culture and the motivation.
Yes.
Wake up about the impact. Understand the values that are driving their behavior and your behavior. When you have a customer and there's some kind of conflict, try to understand what is their value. Because you're going to have a white person's value is different to an Indian and a colored and a black person. Understand that. Be the one. A leader is about flexibility and agility. You have the power to make stuff happen. This is the kind of pressure that we have in the workplace for individuals. This is the second half of the coin. Because leadership controls half, individuals control the other half. Who thinks they could have better work-life balance? It would be nice to have better work-life balance, a bit more time, a bit more fun. Do you have any fun in your workplace? So what could you do to change it? Be the one that changes it. Because if you're going to be successful, you need to build psychological capital in your people. You need to be the builder on multiple levels. If you're going to build a winning team, you need to build a winning mindset with all of these down the left. This information is available, but a leader has got two duties, one to the business, one to the people. Do you bring out the best in people? Like the guy with the elephants. He brought out the best in those 56 men. Do you bring out the best or do you bring out the worst? There are two kinds of mindsets. Either a fixed, I'm intelligent, this is my level and I can't change it, or I can grow and improve my intelligence. Here's a secret. Hire for attitude and mindset, train for skill. Say it with me. Hire for attitude and mindset, train for skill. Because it's much easier to change skill than it is to change a person's mindset. It's like trying to change their religion. You know, if I try and say, hey, you must become a Jewish guy now, or a Muslim or a Hindu, whatever, it's going to take some work. Train, hire for attitude, train for skill. Do you want to know a quick question you can ask to discover? Imagine we go outside into town. We're going to the bank to get some money. And as we're in the bank, a robber comes in, he goes, shoots you, and you get shot in the arm. Only you. We go to hospital, stitches, blood, patch you up. Now it's tomorrow morning. How do you describe the story? How are you going to tell your friend about what happened to you? What would you say? I'm lucky or I'm unlucky?
They bewitched me. They bewitched me.
They bewitched me. What would you say? I'm lucky to have got what, or I'm unlucky?
I'm lucky to
Who would say I'm unlucky to get shot? Who would say, I'm lucky? Depending upon your answer to the question shows what kind of mindset you've got. Because if you say, I'm unlucky, why me? Why not her? You know, why I'm bewitched. Their locus of control is on the outside. So you can bleat about why me, but how's that going to build your brain? But the one that says, wow, blessed, I am alive, I am so lucky, is the one with the mindset that will take them further through the darkness, through the storm, and out the other side. I'm sure you've been with negative people, eh? The kind when you leave, it's like, oh my goodness. Energy vampires. You know them. And the insult divers. Have you seen the insult divers? They're busy talking and they hear an insult over there. Say, wait, they dive to get the insult because they want to be a victim. Poor me. They want to manipulate you. Say, you make me angry. Be the one that wakes up and chooses to be a growth mindset. If you keep exercising your brain, it's like a muscle. You can keep on building it. Neurons that fire together, wire together. We've got amazing new research around plasticity in the brain. We're going to live a whole lot longer. This is a test to see how clever you are. How many squares? Go, go, go. How many squares? Don't talk to the side. How many squares? Come now, people. You must know by now that there's something more. 38. No. How many squares? Let's go, let's go, let's go. How many squares? 21. I got 21, 21, 21. 21. 16. Come now. 16. Oh, 17. How many squares? Now come now, please. Use this brain. Take it off. Take it off automatic. 100, no. Take it off automatic. Use it. God gave you a brain. One. More than one. Come on. How many squares? Come now, my friend. You look like a wise man. Look better. You look like a wise guy, but I'm disappointed. There are many. Okay, hands up. Who sees 16 only? 16. Who's the 16? Hands up. 17. 18. 19. 25. Who sees more than 25? How many? 27. Well done. How many? 64. No, that's disappointment. You see, you get people that want more than life brings. And they get disappointed. Life brings you what life brings you. But if you're only seeing 16 squares, your brain's got a hold of you. Your thought virus is limiting you beyond your understanding. You don't even know that you don't know. One big one around the outside. 1. 4 by 4 little ones. 16. That's 17. Now if we go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Isn't that a square? Ah, and then there's 4 like that, eh? So that's 17 plus 4 is 21. And then if we go 2, 2, 2, 2, isn't that a square? And then same there. So there's 4 there. So now we've got 25. Can you see that? And then, what about 1, 2, the middle one? It's 26. So we've got 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 4 by 4. What's missing?
1 by 3.
Aha! Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There's a square. There's 3 by 3. From that corner, 3 by 3. And there's 4 of them. So how many squares? 30 squares. But why didn't you see it? And this is what innovation is about. Innovation is seeing beyond the limit of your brain. Yeah, but I'm talking about just the squares there. There's always some mismatch that comes and you want them. You see, if you don't manage your brain, you're going to react, which is the normal things around stress. But if you put a different frame around something, stress can actually be a growth experience. It's what they call post-traumatic stress growth. But it means you have to change the frame of reference. It means you have to see something differently. If you're only seeing 16 squares, you're in jail. You have to start to say, how do I see 17, 18? What am I not seeing? What program is running? What thought virus is running that's taking me down the old habits? Okay, this is a prize. I have a cap for everybody that can solve this. How do you get all of those nails off the table? All of the nails but for one. Only one nail can be touching the table. I'm giving you 2 minutes in your group. How do you get all of those nails to be off the table? Only one nail can be touching the wooden block. No, they've got to be there. They've got to be there, yes.
Take the hammer, you hit the table very hard, you jump.
Why are you laughing? I think that's bloody clever. It's the very first time I've ever had that. They will be for a short time, they'll be off the table. Because you're too bloody smart for me, let me change that. They must be at least for 10 seconds or 20 seconds, they must be off the table. Not on the ground. They've got to be on that single nail that's there. Because if you guys are going to do more with less, you have to become innovative. You have to find new solutions, new ways of thinking, new ways of behaving. Anybody got a solution? What's the solution? Tell me, what's the solution?
Delegation of authority.
Yeah?
You put one like this, then you hang the others on the side.
Hey, boys, we've got a winner here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
You know,
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's your thinking caps. Give him a round of applause. Because there is his solution. This is the solution. That's how you do it. Those are all hanging off the one middle nail. Then ask questions. And you need to clarify with staff. There's a lot of misunderstanding happenings if you don't check and clarify. But I can tell you that at least 90% of people don't get 30 squares. 90% can never solve this. You have to start thinking smarter. But you have to use this computer and direct it yourself. Resilience is one of the most important things, and it relates to engagement. It's about mindset. At least 20% of your people are quitters, the guys that have given up. In fact, they're cancers. 20 to 80% are there just for the money, just so they can get a salary. And the climbers of the 5 to 20 are the leaders that make stuff happen. How do you wake them up? How do you inspire them? How do you become a role model that they wake up in the morning and they want to run to work? How do you create a framework of positive meaning for them? Because they probably are here where my life sucks. A large part of the people will be in this environment. The languaging, how they think, the languaging that you put out, other people will emulate. Children and people don't do what you say, they watch what you do. So if you're going to build teamwork, there's the very, very important thing that is going to transform your team. You need to become conscious and aware of the interactions that you have. Professor Lasada found it takes 3 positives to balance 1 negative. In conversations, in encounters, in experiences, it takes 3 positive things just to neutralize and balance a negative thing. A good team has conversations and communication and experiences 5, 6, 7, 8 to 1 in the ratio of positive to negative. Beyond that, 11, 12, 13, you're smoking some bad stuff. Don't go there. But make sure that the positive is at least 6, 7 to 1. We can predict the success of a team, of a relationship, of an organization to the level of 95% accuracy purely based on this ratio. Become conscious. Start to listen. Bring that builder attitude into your organization, into your culture, into your language. Be the one that sows the seeds. Be the one that holds the line. If you're going to perform and deliver best value, you are going to invest time and effort and money. You understand what ROI is, hey? Return on investment. The best return on investment is relationships. Stop the crap with cultures, with races, and build a team that will live and die for each other. Create a team that is power, which means you need to set the rules of engagement. It means you need to set the culture. Fairness in compensation and interaction is vital. Coaching, every one of your staff, get away from performance, measurement, these annual things. Coach them once a week. Coach them once a month. Create coaching environments. How do we do this better? How do we improve? How do we transform? What do you need? Because if you set up really good standards and you build a morale and you empower people, you can start to build an organization that will thrive in challenging times, that will outperform anything. Because when you can set people on fire, when you can inspire them from stuck to spark, and spark to flame, and flame to fire, and fire to furnace. I'm a Boy Scout, we used to make fires. You know when you start a fire, it's a little spark, and you protect it from the rain and the wind, and you build, but eventually we used to have a huge bonfire that the rain couldn't put out. How do you do that for your staff? Because then you'll get their commitment and their enthusiasm, and you can build a place where there's respect. And you can start to build a long-term, successful organization. Notice, training and development is one of the least returns. Less than 10% of training is applied back in the workplace. Becomes 80% with coaching. But be smart. If you're going to be a good leader, these are the things that people do wrong as leaders. Make sure you give feedback. Make sure you build teams. Make sure you listen. Take your hand like this. Everybody take your hand like this. Your finger, round fingers. Okay? Look through your fingers. Aim it at a light. And now bring it and put it on your cheek. Bring it and put it on your cheek. On your cheek. On your cheek. Not on your chin, your cheek. You see, people don't do what you say, they're watching what you do. So if you're going to make a great place to work, make sure you listen. Listen. Value people. Take time and focus and listen to them. Make them feel valued. Be trustworthy and build trust. If there's breaks in trust, hold the line. Do not allow anybody to destroy your culture. Be an awesome coach that you bring out the best. When we do our team building and leadership, we've got a video that is the most amazing video you'll ever see. Because here's the truth. You're playing to about 10 to 20% of your potential. How would you like to play to 100? Any one of you here has got the capacity and the potential. Like it took me 30-something years to take action. I decided when I was 25. I got told the secret. My friend was an author, traveled the world, did workshops. She said, please, Tony, research, write the book. Do the workshops, go to America. I said, cool, I'll do it. It just took me 35 years to take action. Communicate, 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 communicate. In the absence of information, your brain will assume the worst. It is programmed 3 to 4 times negative. Communicate often. During change, during uncertainty, communicate, communicate. Practice. Walk your talk. Keep your values. Keep your word. Ensure that respect is the foundation, that there's fairness and respect. And then you can become the most amazing and most incredible leader. Thank you. Bless you. Thank you for your time.